First, let's start with this case. I, 25-year-old white British woman, recently changed jobs and am currently a student nurse in a hospital. Most of the senior nurses are Filipino. In my previous job, about 40% of the workforce was Filipino and 20% Indonesian, so I'm somewhat familiar with the culture. I consider myself a friendly person and try to get along with everyone. From my past experience, I know that respect is highly valued in Filipino culture. I often address the senior nurses as tita name, which I understand means auntie, when asking them questions. I also enjoy their cuisine and sometimes make it at home. My husband is Taiwanese, and while the food is different, he prefers it to traditional British dishes. If I have leftovers, such as egg sambal or pancit, apologies if I've misspelled it, I occasionally bring them to work, maybe every other week. The nurses have also shared their food with me. For the younger nurses, I refer to them as my paisano, which I believe means friend. It turns out the senior nurses appreciate my efforts, and they've taken a liking to me. They can be a bit selective in their social circles, and I've noticed they don't seem to get along as well with the other white nurses, who don't make as much effort to connect. If I have questions or need help with a difficult or rude patient, they readily step in to support me, but they don't extend the same courtesy to the other nurses. The other nurses have noticed this and started giving me the cold shoulder. They accuse me of trying to suck up and make them look bad. They say I'm engaging in cultural appropriation and pandering, claiming I'm pretending to be Filipino despite never having been to the Philippines and not having a partner from there. Now I'm questioning myself. Am I in the wrong? Should I stop using the terms bringing food or making an effort to connect? Should I talk to the senior nurses to see if they feel I'm overstepping? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Anyone who works in healthcare who has not picked up a Filipino phrase or two is frankly trying not to, in my opinion. You're just being open to what is around you, and they aren't. There's nothing wrong with being respectful to your seniors in a culture where that is expected. And there's also nothing wrong with just being a nice person and a good team member. If the other people there look bad, that's on them. Their shortcomings are their own. You're not in the wrong. You're not in the wrong. I am the honorary Filipino at work, long-term care. The culture is great, the food even better, and they work hard. The white girls are catty, lazy, and racist. I am indigenous. I don't find them cliquey. They are just used to racism, so don't offer much because they always get blamed for stuff. It is not that hard to get in with Filipinos. They are friendly and generous. I would trust my Filipino coworkers with my life. I can't put my finger on it, but this post seems fake. Firstly, because the way you write is really not very British, and neither is your cringy behavior if you really are sucking up like this, e.g., randomly using words you don't understand. The NHS is extremely diverse, and people eat food from various cultures, and generally there is a lot of intermingling of cultures, and no one bats an eye. Also, having worked with many Filipino nursing colleagues over the years, they are mainly super professional and extremely helpful. And people of all cultures are very receptive to respectful behavior. Next up, I, 23-year-old woman, have been dating a guy, 20-year-old man, for a few months, and things have been going well. We've been officially together for 2 months, and this is not meant to criticize him as a person. We usually hang out at my place since he lives with his parents. Early on, he noticed that I don't own a television, which he finds odd. I've lived alone for years and have never owned one, because I've never felt the need for it. Everything I enjoy in my free time, I can do on my laptop. Even when I visit my parents, who own a TV, I never use it. It's just not something I care for. My apartment is minimalistic. 1 bed, 1 couch, and 1 beanbag. He bought it for me. I don't own extra chairs, additional lighting, I prefer candles, or gadgets like a TV, and I'm perfectly happy with that. He's been suggesting that I buy a TV for some time now, saying it would be nice to watch something together and have more to talk about. Since he's a gamer, he's also mentioned bringing his consoles over so we could play video games. Additionally, he pointed out that people might find it odd that I don't own a TV when they visit, as it's something most people have. I don't agree with his reasoning. We can watch shows on my laptop if we want, and while he thinks a bigger screen would be better, I don't. As for the gaming suggestion, that's more about what he wants to do, as I'm not a gamer. His last point, that other people might find it strange, bothers me the most because I don't care what others think. I rarely invite people over, and if anyone has an issue with me not owning a TV, they're welcome to leave. It's my apartment, and I only need to cater to my own preferences. I've made it clear to him that I'm not buying a TV, but he keeps persisting. One day, after feeling frustrated with his pressure, I lost my temper and cursed at him. I told him he was being a huge jerk and that if he wanted a TV in my apartment so badly, he could buy one himself and set it up. He does have a tendency to be a bit bossy and often gives me advice. Usually I don't mind and sometimes even appreciate it because I can be forgetful or reckless and I know he means well. However, some of his suggestions, like insisting I buy a TV or telling me to get more utensils, I own one fork and knife, no spoon, since I eat out most days, feel intrusive. After I cursed at him, he seemed genuinely hurt, and now I feel like I might have overreacted and could have handled it more kindly. If you're curious, he comes over to my place about once a week. Let's start judging. Everyone sucks. Him, he shouldn't boss you around. You're so far into single life that your life is entirely counter to being in a relationship. This isn't about a TV or utensils. It's about the fact you have literally no room in your life or your apartment for someone else. But you're inviting someone into your life, and it sounds like you've been inviting your boyfriend to your apartment. How is he supposed to even eat there if you only have one fork and one knife? You rejecting getting even basics such as an additional knife and fork for guests tells him that you don't want to include him in your life. The TV is along the same vein. He's looking for something to do with you as a couple in your apartment besides just sex. I might get downvoted, but everyone sucks. He sucks for insisting on the TV, and he can buy one on his own. But you might like your super minimalist life. But if your BF is going to be staying at your apartment, you need to get more than one pair of fork and knife, and probably some furniture. Otherwise, this relationship can go nowhere. Is he going to come over and share that single fork and knife with you? Going to sit on your beanbag? Just break up if no compromises can be made to your uber single lifestyle. You're in the wrong. Girl, what? You have a fork and a knife, a couch, a beanbag, and a bed in your apartment. What else is there to do besides have sex? He clearly wants to do more than that, and you just don't have room in your heart to care about anyone else, it seems. You don't care about the comfort of someone you are inviting over. That's just rude. If you want to continue living like you're single, stay single. Next up, my family has been dealing with my brother C for a long time, both legally and financially. Over the past 8 years, he has been in and out of jail for offenses including driving under the influence and issues related to controlled substances. Last week, I went to get the mail, a rare occurrence since I work, and noticed a letter addressed to me from the local township. It informed me that I had missed my first court date for a speeding ticket. As someone who has never been arrested or pulled over, I was immediately anxious and confused about how this could have happened. My dad suggested I go to the municipal building to speak with the clerk, which turned out to be a good idea. The town clerk took the letter and my ID, then printed out a copy of the ticket. All the personal information on the ticket was correct, except for the car details, such as the make, model, registration number, and license plate. Those details matched my brother's car. From what I can gather, my brother must have found one of my old IDs at some point and decided to keep it. When he was pulled over for speeding in December, he gave the officer my old license to avoid having his own suspended again due to prior offenses. The clerk explained that the officer didn't flag the ID as expired because my current license shares the same identification number, and the system still recognized it as valid. This is confusing to me. What's the point of expiration dates if the number remains active? I also want to question the officer because my brother and I don't look much alike, and body cam footage could likely confirm what actually happened. When I got home and explained the situation, my dad was furious. Not at my brother, but at me. He accused me of not treating C like a brother, and claimed I've been trying to throw him under the bus for years. He even speculated that the officer could have made a mistake despite the overwhelming evidence. The reality is that if I attend the second court date, plead not guilty, and explain what happened, my brother could face charges such as false impersonation, providing false information, and possibly mail fraud. This would likely send him back to jail. My dad, who is 74 and battling cancer, doesn't want this and insists I should take responsibility for the ticket and the points on my license, even though my brother denies any involvement despite the evidence. The difficult part is that pursuing this could destroy my relationship with my dad. He might even kick me out of the house. However, I don't think it's fair to take the blame for something I didn't do, especially when my brother has a history of reckless behavior. So, am I wrong for considering sending my brother back to jail? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. So, on top of supporting your brother's lying to law enforcement, now they want you to lie by accepting a ticket you know you didn't receive? Nope. Go explain exactly what you know. You didn't get the ticket, the vehicle information is your brother's, etc. And let what happens happen. This is on him, not on you. I'm sorry they both suck and they're treating you like this. You're not in the wrong. Your brother committed a crime by using a false ID. Your father is 100% wrong here, regardless of his health condition and age. Go to court and get it sorted out. You're not in the wrong. Sorry, but your brother has knowingly committed offenses and expects you to take it on the chin because you're family. Not cool. He's done it intentionally, knowing it was a possibility, had a plan, and stolen your license, all with the intention of getting away with it. Your dad is blinded by this and your brother's past behavior. I guess you have the awful decision of what to do next, knowing it could affect your relationship with your dad. Not an easy one to make. At the end of the day, your brother is an adult and knows right from wrong, and he chose to go down this path in life. He knows actions have consequences, yet still chooses to do the wrong thing. You're in an awful predicament. I don't envy you. Next up, I, 21-year-old woman, wanted to attend a concert in Atlanta, but the total cost, including the ticket and flight, was $435. I initially asked 2 friends, but they both declined due to financial constraints. One of them suggested I ask our mutual friend, Lily. Since I didn't know Lily well, I decided to ask my friend Jade first. Jade and I had been close for about a year, but recently she had been doing things that upset me. For instance, she backed out of plans an hour before a trip with assigned seating that I had already booked. When I reduced how often I invited her to hang out, she confronted me. I explained what had been bothering me, but instead of apologizing, she focused on the fact that she had noticed something was wrong. Despite our issues, I put it behind me and asked Jade if she'd like to go to the concert. I provided all the details about flights, dates, and costs, and told her to email her professors about missing class on Monday if she was interested. Jade agreed and said she'd pay me back since her card wasn't working at the time. I booked everything, but a few days later, she told me she couldn't go because of a midterm on Monday. Since I had already advised her to email her professors, I assumed she had decided against going. I started looking for someone else and told her she'd need to pay the $75 name change fee for the flight. She agreed. Next, I asked Lily, the friend I had planned to call after Jade. However, Lily had practice on Monday, and her coach wouldn't let her miss it. If Jade had initially told me no, I would have opted to attend the Saturday concert instead of the Sunday one, which would have avoided this issue. I also asked my other friend Penny, but she said the trip was too expensive. A few days later, Jade messaged me, saying she had gotten her test moved. I was frustrated, but agreed to let her rejoin the trip. She slowly paid me back over the course of a month. Then, a few days after that, Jade said she no longer wanted to go because it would be awkward since we hadn't been talking much lately. Although I said okay, I was frustrated. I began asking everyone I knew to take her spot. I reached out to about 30 people and even posted about the tickets online, but no one could go due to class, work, or finances. I was willing to attend alone but didn't feel comfortable traveling to Atlanta by myself. I also tried selling Jade's concert ticket on the platform I bought it from, but no one purchased it. Right before the deadline to change the name on the plane ticket, I called Penny again. Although she had previously said the trip was too expensive, I offered to let her pay just the $75 name change fee. She agreed, and we went to the concert together. After the concert, Jade saw Penny's post about it and asked for her $300 ticket money back. I explained how I had tried to recover her money but couldn't. Jade insisted that either Penny or I pay her back. However, Penny doesn't have the money, and neither do I. $300 is exactly my paycheck for 2 weeks. So, am I wrong here? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Jade agreed to go to the concert, knowing the costs and details up front. She backed out not once but twice, leaving you in a difficult situation. It's unreasonable for her to expect you, or Penny, to cover her $300 when she didn't follow through on her commitment. If Jade wanted to be reimbursed, she should have taken responsibility for selling her own ticket instead of relying on you to fix the situation. You made multiple attempts to mitigate the loss, including trying to resell the ticket and finding someone to replace her. Ultimately, her financial loss is a result of her own decisions and lack of follow-through. Penny doesn't owe Jade anything either. She stepped in to save the trip and covered the name change fee, which was fair. You did everything you could to handle the situation responsibly, so you are not at fault here. Jade needs to take ownership of her choices. Everyone sucks. Quick tip. If there's even a shadow of a doubt that things might not line up, or that someone is unreliable with planning or money, always make them pay for it directly. Don't take IOUs or agree to exchanging money at some point down the line. However, if the roles were reversed, and you'd paid $300 for a trip and then became uncomfortable with going and backed out and found out your $300 ticket was given to someone else and you wouldn't be getting your money back, you'd think the person who did that kind of sucks. You not being able to pay her back doesn't make that suck any less for her, who essentially paid $300 for someone else's trip. It'd be one thing if you just couldn't get her money back. It's another to, in a roundabout way, use her money to pay for someone else. I don't think you're the idiot here. You tried your best to accommodate Jade, but things kept changing. You didn't expect her to back out again, and you didn't have the means to cover her share. It's frustrating, but it's not on you to make up for her lack of commitment.